Okay, so I'm going to talk about the recent addition to the Ceph Dashboard. Yeah, this title is try to be catchy, like Taming a Cephalopod swarm. Multi-cluster monitoring comes to the Ceph Dashboard. So this is me. Basically, one thing is that 6 years ago I joined Red Hat, and yeah, I attended a Ceph Days here in London, just a regular audience. So yeah, maybe in a couple of years you are also speaking here about Ceph if you really love it and want to be part of the community. So, but prior to that, I had some experience with Ceph as a user. So I have a lot of funny stories about that. So maybe in the networking part I can tell you something. So this is more or less what I plan to cover in this presentation: multi-cluster monitoring and a specific case, which is RGW multi-site management. What is coming next to the dashboard and how to contribute. So let's go with it. First of all, I wanted to have more or less like a view of what's the average Ceph cluster. I gathered this info from the Ceph telemetry, and I mentioned that it's a public telemetry program, and most of the data is public. Also from the Ceph user survey, which is, I only managed to get the 22 version, so I'm not sure if there's been later versions of the survey. Well, I mean,
there are some
but
version people who use accounts and stuff.
oh, okay, but not the 24 or 23, right? Okay. So basically, the relevant thing from this table is that the fact that in median, two clusters or every user is managing at least 2 clusters, and mean is going a bit higher till 8. I mentioned there what is the difference between mean and median here, because basically we have very large cluster which shift the mean, the average bit to the larger side, so basically CERN and all the bigger Ceph users, but more or less the median can give you a view of the smaller clusters. So we also had this specific survey on multi-cluster that was also run on 22. I think it was launched by Paul Kushner. So basically, this confirms the fact that multi-cluster management of Ceph is a fact, it's a reality, right? So the numbers move between 2 and more than 5, so that probably would match these 2 and 8 figures from the previous chart. So I would love to hear about you. I mean, how many of you are running multiple Ceph clusters, and what are your reasons for doing that? If there are any volunteers here? Yes?
Testing early.
Yeah, sorry?
Testing early.
Oh, okay. So how many clusters you have?
4 now.
4. Okay. So you have how many staging? How many production clusters?
There is no production at all.
Oh, it's all okay. Perfect. Thanks. Anyone else wants to? Yeah.
Maybe 20, rough guess.
20. Okay.
14 production, multi-site.
Oh, okay. RGW multi-site. Yeah. Okay. Anyone using RVD mirroring or surface mirroring? Just curious. Nope. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So basically, I just wanted to confirm basically what we analyze here. That's, I mean, while Ceph cluster can virtually grow indefinitely, I use italics there because we all know that there are some bottlenecks, but the community is working towards achieving that goal. We know that all the users might want to have smaller clusters. So there are 3 main reasons for doing that. First of all is infrastructure complexity. Yeah, I mean, we all know that, right? Basically, a large Ceph cluster requires low latency, high throughput connections, and also homogeneous hardware. All these things together basically make really hard to, come up with a very large cluster. So many times it's easier to split them smaller clusters. Then the operational risk and impact, right? So if you want to do an upgrade, maybe you don't want to risk the whole cluster, and you prefer to have like different clusters for performing upgrades. Other tasks like deep scrubbing, other maintenance duties. And the third reason is legal requirements or compliance, or things like I have to put some information in a separate cluster for security compliance, geo redundancy, other things like that, right? So basically, this results in these 3 use cases, right? Or 3 criteria for breaking down the clusters. One is by access protocol. So we found that people prefer to isolate clusters by their use case. So by the access protocol. So whether it's block, file, or object. Also by the use case, so they usually want to isolate the OpenStack clusters, the Kubernetes clusters from the rest of that. And there are a variety of reasons like geo-redundancy, Ceph version, so you want to have different versions of Ceph. So basically, I would like to more or less ensure that we all are in this agreement, right, with this. So we have multi-cluster as a concept that's basically grouping different clusters, but they might or might not be related. And that's the specific case of federation, or where there is kind of coordination between the data stored in each cluster, right? So the goal of this multi-cluster feature in the dashboard is managing potentially disconnected clusters, so without any kind of relationship between them, but also to cover the case for federation, whether that's HADR, and specifically for Ceph, that means multi-site or RBD or Ceph's mirroring. So isn't that possible to do that from the Ceph CLI? Truth is that, yeah, everything's possible from the Ceph CLI. Basically, you just have to configure a couple of different Ceph.conf files and different credentials, key-rings for each, right? You just launch these commands and you have the stats from each. So that's possible, I mean. However, okay, that poses some security challenges, right? First of all, that requires monitor connections to different clusters. Usually run that from one of the nodes which is already in a cluster. So basically that will require inter-cluster monitor connection. Usually those ports are not quite standard. So if you want to request the, sysadmin, hey, yeah, I would like to open this port. What's that port? They will have to run some security assessment just to check what's running on those ports. So, yeah. And also the permissions are quite coarse-grained. So usually you run on client admin permissions, which is basically allow everything. So yeah, that's not very fine-grained. And of course, the usability, right? You have to manage multiple Ceph.conf and key-rings. The syntax is basically consisting on adding the -c and the pointing to the Ceph.conf file. And that's prone to error. I mean, if you make a mistake here and you put the two thing in the other place and you remove something, you might be removing some something in the wrong cluster, and you probably don't really want to do that. So basically, yeah. And also it requires like active monitoring. So you have to constantly trigger in the command just to check what's the Ceph status or what's the DF or the DU usage of the cluster. So it is not a really great user experience, right? And probably it's not going to scale really well beyond a couple of clusters. So based on that, what were the goals for the dashboard? So first of all, ensure that the solution is operator friendly. So reducing cognitive load, yeah, whatever that means. But I think we all know what's that about, right? When you are monitoring multiple clusters, you don't want to screw it. I mean, you have 3-4 clusters, you don't want to do something in one cluster and yeah, accidentally breaking something in others. So basically, you wanted to have an integrated user experience, basically a single place of, single source of truth of the cluster status. We wanted to replace the poll-based monitoring with alert-based, so event-based. Basically, you don't want to be, require attention. Only the attention comes to you. Basically, when something happens to one of the clusters, you will receive a notification. And given that we are already managing multiple clusters, why not, allowing users to simplify the configuration of multi-site and mirroring? And regarding security, we wanted to replace the monitor protocol, TCP 3300 with the HTTP-based connection, which is what the dashboard already provides. Also, leverage the existing dashboard credentials, which are quite fine-grained. You can configure only specific use cases like RBD, CFFS. So that's something that is it possible with the regular Ceph credentials? Yes, it is, but it's more complicated. And also use the existing JWT authentication. So you can also configure the time life of those credentials. So this is a summary of more or less the history of a multi-site / multi-cluster support in the dashboard. First trace comes back to the Nautilus release, Mimic release, when the RBD mirroring was implemented there. We had to wait a bit till we got this PR from some CERN folks, which basically extended the Prometheus alert manager configuration to support multiple clusters. And most of the RJWG multi-site work has happened on Squid. And for T-release, we will, I'm still, struggling to say Tentacle, but yeah, Tentacle release, we will have the multi-cluster authentication management, so all the whole multi-cluster support for within the dashboard. So how does this looks like, right? We are adding this new section to the dashboard. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the Ceph Dashboard, but well, if not, this is the landing page, what we call the landing page in the dashboard. That's the vertical menu. So basically, we have this wizard to launch the connection to other clusters. You just have to enter the URL of the other Ceph Dashboard, an alias, and that's an interesting addition because prior to that in Ceph you basically deal with FSIDs, which are like UIDs. That's how many bytes of characters of hexadecimal character. It's not really friendly to use that. So basically you can replace that with a user-friendly name. You enter then the credentials of the connection, and you set the TTL for login, right? So by default, I think it's 15 days. And after that, you have basically this, I think, beautiful landing page. So there are like 5 different components here. I will go through them. So first one is this context switch selector. So basically, one of the nice things of this is that you can switch from the current dashboard to any of the dashboards just by switching here. So basically, there will be always a local cluster, which is the one that you initially connected to. But from that one, if you switch in this selector, you're automatically seeing the dashboard of the target cluster. So basically, that makes it really easy to do that. Only thing that's probably a challenge is that we might want to make it more evident that you are doing that, because we don't want that. Many times these tiny things might get unnoticed, and you think that you are operating your local cluster, maybe you aren't. But as mentioned, this is still work in progress, so it's planned for T-release. Next thing is the status section. If you have worked with the latest dashboard, you probably have seen this already in the new landing page. So basically, we have the cluster status. That's a summary of the different clusters' health status, a summary of the alerts, the connections, the connection errors to the different clusters, and a summary of the hosts, the total number of hosts in the different clusters. And that's the capacity. That's the aggregated capacity of the clusters. We are still figuring out whether some of these things make sense, because just the sum of capacity might or might not make sense. So we'll have to check that. As one of the things that I will mention at the end of the presentation is that we're actively looking for feedback from the community. So we will really welcome any kind of feedback, directions, and comments on how you use multi-cluster, how would you make this more useful for your case. So this is the other section. It's basically the utilization chart that's already in the regular landing page in the single cluster. So in this very case, we are showing both the capacity, IOPS, and throughput for the different clusters. We have these details. So basically, you can see that per alias name, you can see the version that's running, capacity, and other statistics there. So we have the top 5 pool utilization, more or less same thing, capacity, IOPS, and clients. Probably this is going to be more interesting, as in the case of multi-site and mirroring, there is actual connection between specific pools. So probably we'll have to rework or rethink a bit this section, how to make it more meaningful for the user, right? And that's about the, I mentioned this new vertical menu has these 2 sections. So we covered the overview, and the manage cluster section is this other table here. So basically, once you have connected to the first cluster, you can add more clusters through this page and remove them, the management operations. So that's, I think, all about the current status of the multi-cluster support. And for the future, we don't yet know whether this means Tentacle or next release. We would like to improve the RGW multi-site configuration and the RBD mirroring. The mirroring is, I think, already simplified. You can just connect to RBD clusters with a token. So it's actually really simple to that. But we are trying to do something like one click. So you just select the pools and something like that. You connect them, both RBD pools. Similar thing for RGW. So that's all about the multi-cluster changes to the dashboard. I will now cover the RGW multi-site. As I think we are going quite fast on time. I'm not sure if you have any specific questions for this part before I start go with the RGW multi-site configuration. No? Okay. So I will quickly cover the RGW multi-site. This is available currently, I think, in Squid. So if you use the latest version, you should be able to use this. So basically, we added this inventory card. That's a similar pattern. That's already the one that's already in the landing page. So basically, you see a collection of items that you currently have in your Ceph cluster. So meaning basically the object daemons, realms, zone groups, zones, buckets, and users that are configured for that, total capacity, and the average object size. So we have then this wizard that's similar to the multi-cluster one. So basically, you go there. This is the old, the one that it's in Riff, on Squid, vertical bar. So you select there in multi-site, and you can launch the wizard, the configuration assistant. So from there, you just can connect to a different site, and basically you would end up seeing this topology view. It's recommended to enable the RGW module, manager module, not to review or have it configured, but it adds some extra capabilities to the RGW multi-site management, like import and export. So once you do that, you will see this currently in this screenshot that's grayed out. So you will see those buttons active. So you would be able to import and export. And also there's a nice addition, which is this migration tool. So basically you can migrate from single site to multi-site with this wizard. So that's already there. And what else is coming to the dashboard, right? So I wanted to cover a few other things that are coming to Ceph Dashboard besides this. I think the multi-cluster is one of the biggest things that's coming to Tentacle, and RGW multi-site it is too, of course. But specifically for Squid and Tentacle, we have a lot of improvements on the CFFS, basically sub-volume and sub-volume group managements, snapshots and clones, the scheduler, access management. Probably this will end up having the same support as we currently have for the RBD mirroring, so same thing but for CFFS mirroring. We have the RGW, a lot of RGW improvements, advanced workflows, user policies, bucket policies, lifecycle, what I mentioned, the multi-site workflow, and also the import and export of tokens. That's the server-side security things on RGW. We also have MVMEOF. That will be the UI part. Oriton will be covering the core thing, but basically we are trying to bring support for that. Dashboard already had support for iSCSI management, so basically we want to more or less provide the same level of support for MVMEOF, which seems to be a natural replacement for iSCSI. And we have some UI and UX improvements, and given that we have one local Ceph developer over there, Ivo, I wanted to mention specifically this is one of the additions. Basically, we are switching from Twitter's Bootstrap, which has been the UI framework in the Ceph Dashboard till its conception. So I think that we are changing that. We are using IBM Carbon. Main reason is that it provides native Angular components. Dashboard is mostly an Angular application, and yeah, Bootstrap we didn't have such a thing. So also is backed by IBM, and many of these components are, as mentioned, really off-the-shelf things. So we just have tables, we just have charts, tree, and with Bootstrap that's not possible. It's more minimalistic UI framework. And well, that's more of an opinion, but yeah, it's slick and sober, so you have more or less the comparison between both things. Not sure, Ivo, if you want to add something there as the author of this improvement?
No, yeah.
1 second.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, I think that's more or less how the vertical navigation will look after this work that it was doing there. Also same for the horizontal one, and the example with the cluster utilization. So yeah, and that's one important thing, which is how to contribute, right? As basically this is in many cases an open source driven project, and we really want to listen to users and have the engagement of users. There is, well, Nihal already mentioned that, but we have many virtual meetings, specifically developer monthly meeting, where many times we present mock-ups and ideas. Also the Ceph users Monthly, I think that's great for having direct interaction between Ceph and users. And specifically, if you want to have help, I mean, if you start using, for example, the dashboard, we now have this specific Slack channel in the Ceph Slack. And yeah, you know, the Ceph tracker. And if you really want to start developing Ceph dev at Ceph.io and where the repository is. So basically, that's mostly it. So, any questions about that so far? Multi-cluster, multi-site? No? I would love to hear, I mean, if we have time, Phil.
We have time, it's fine.
Okay,
yeah.
great. Anyone actively using the dashboard, the Ceph dashboard? I mean, yeah?
So we have it. We have a. So within like the canonicalized or Ubuntuized Ceph, we have the dashboard there. The challenge that we have is we do Ceph a little bit different, right? We don't use Ceph ADM.
Yeah.
So some of the features and functionality in our dashboard, essentially, they don't work.
Okay.
That's kind of by design. We're looking at how we can sort of adapt the dashboard to fit with other underlying deployment mechanisms. So yeah, it's that we do use the observability pieces of it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Do you know that the orchestrator interface is like generic? So technically, you use Juju, right? That's
correct. Yeah.
So technically, you could implement
we've talked about it. It's one of the big list of things that we would love to get to at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great to hear about that. Other comments, other dashboard users, dashboard haters. I mean, I know you are somewhere. I mean, yeah. Nope. Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.